Friday, September 18th, 1925. Arkham, Massachusetts. It's the end of a long and abnormally hot summer. The first hints of autumn beckon, but a heavy heat persists, relentless. A silent, unspoken anger grips the town. Tempers are short, and in the last week alone there have been numerous reports of townspeople coming to heated, violent blows with one another over simple misunderstandings. And now, a call from James Hankerson. He claims to have found a dismembered body in his barn. Blaming the weather would be too easy. There's something wrong with this town. Not a whole lot this old soothsayer can do to stop the slide. My auguries indicate a small group of investigators will soon take note of these strange happenings and set forth to make things right. I'll be watching their progress, but I won't be holding my breath.
I'm Skids O'Toole. I hadn't planned on a life of crime, but sometimes doing the right thing means getting my hands dirty. The cops didn't care that I needed the money for my mother's operation. My mother died of her illness during the second year of my sentence. My cellmate, Brad Hollins, told me there were worse fates than death. He rants and raves about, in a quiet voice every evening, about the old ones. He told me about bizarre adventures he'd had while dreaming. I didn't give much thought until the night he woke to the sight of his cellmate bursting into flames. When I was finally released, I returned to Arkham, looking for answers. I've been investigating strange events taking place here in Arkham. Over the past few weeks, several townspeople have mysteriously gone missing. Recently, their corpses turned up in the woods, savaged and half-eaten. The police and newspapers have stated that wild animals are responsible, but I believe there's something else going on. Here I am, home, to find out about these bizarre events. Welcome to Arkham Horror, night of the Zealot Campaign. I'm Skids O'Toole, and I'll be taking you through the first adventure as we begin. Starting in the study. I've been investigating the strange events occurring in Arkham for several days now. My desk, as you can see, is covered in newspaper, articles and police reports and witness accounts. The door to my study has vanished. What's going on? It's late, and I'm holed up in my study researching the bloody disappearances that have been taking place in the region. A few hours into my research, I hear the sounds of strange chanting coming from the parlor down the hall. At the same time, I hear dirt churning as if something were digging beneath the floor. And now I'm trapped. As I leap to investigate, the door suddenly vanishes before my eyes, leaving behind only a solid wall. I'm trapped inside my study until I can find another way out. In Arkham Horror, the living card game, I start with 5 cards and 5 resources. Playing the role of Skids O'Toole, the ex-con, who mourns the loss of his mother, I start with 8 health and 6 sanity. That will be listed over there on the screen. As I take damage and go insane, the counter will change. Welcome to Arkham Horror, the living card game. I begin in the study, and I get 3 actions per turn. After I take my 3 actions, the enemy will take their actions if there are any on the board. Then the turn will reset, and new enemies or new treachery options will appear, and I'll have to deal with those round after round. Let's uncover. My options are moving about the house, playing some cards, attacking an enemy, evading an enemy, investigating, which is how I get clue tokens. I use these clue tokens to break out of this trapped room. As you can see on the trapped card, I need to spend 2 clue tokens to find a way out of this trapped room. To do that, I need to investigate. As I investigate the study, I have an investigation skill of 3. It requires 2 or better in the study. This is called the Shroud value. If I get 2 or better on my investigation check, I'll earn 1 clue token, and that's 1 action. I can take up to 3 actions per turn. So with that said, I think I better grab my flashlight. Now the flashlight costs 2 resources to play, and it comes into play with 3 supplies on it. That represents its battery life. when I want to use the flashlight, I expend some of the battery life to shine a light on the shroud value. The flashlight ability lowers the shroud value of a location by 2. That will really help me investigate. That's my first action, is playing the flashlight. Now it's time to investigate. I will spend 1 supply to investigate as my second action. This is the bag of tokens. Tokens are pretty much like dice in this game. I'll reveal one, add or subtract its number to my value. My investigation value is 3, and whatever comes out is my result. Ah, blast it. A -1. So I lowered the shroud by 2, making it 0. My investigate is 3, -1 is 2, so therefore I succeed. So I gain 1 clue token. Well, that wasn't too bad. I think I'll try it again. I have to put this token back. All tokens go back in the bag, and they're not all good, they're not all bad. As a matter of fact, most of them are bad. So I'll use the flashlight to investigate. Okay. This symbol, according to the Gathering, which is the name of today's mission, is -1. If I fail, take 1 horror. Well, it's a -1, and I don't fail on a -1. I succeed, so I don't take 1 horror. I gain a second clue token. At any time, the investigators are allowed to pay clue tokens to satisfy the requirements on the act cards. So I will pay 2 to reveal the next act. I notice the edges of my newly purchased rug are tattered and mud-stained. Finding this odd, I shift the furniture aside and pull back the rug. To my surprise, I see the door leading out of my study. I slowly turn the knob, and the door swings open, revealing my hallway below. I jump through the doorway, landing on my feet on the soft dirt. The door to the study slams shut above me. The smell of burning wood fills the narrow hall, intermingled with the scent of rot and decay. It tells me to put into play the hallway, cellar, attic, and parlor. Discard the study from the game. Place my investigator in the hallway. And that's the end of Act 1. Act 2. The barrier. A glowing barrier blocks the path to my parlor. As I move toward it, intense heat forces me to back away. Picking up a handful of dirt, I toss it at the barrier and watch in horror as the dirt incinerates. Perhaps there's something in the cellar or the attic what can help. My objective here is when the round ends, anybody in the hallway, any investigator in the hallway may spend the requisite number of clues to advance. So I have to seek out the attic and the cellar to find 3 clues, end my turn in the hallway to spend these 3 clues to figure out how to get into my parlor. I'm unsure of what would happen if I tried to cross the threshold of that strange barrier, but based on its extreme heat, I sure as hell don't want to try. I have 1 more action this round. Oh, and when the hallway is revealed, I get to flip it over. I place a number of clue tokens equal to that number, which is 0. And I see the walls of my house are splattered with mud. My hardwood floor is gone, replaced with a dirt path. The symbols below here tell me which places I can travel from the hallway. I can go to the attic, I can go to the cellar, or I can go to the parlor, but as you know, the parlor is blocked off. There's nothing to investigate in the hallway, so I think I better move. I'm going to move down to the cellar, see what's happening down there. The stairs leading down to the cellar are slick and glisten with a layer of ice. My cellar seems to have been replaced with an underground network of icy tunnels and caverns. The cold chills me to the core. After I enter the cellar, I take 1 damage. Oh, I've slipped and fallen. But I'll get up. I'm allowed to place 2 clue tokens onto the cellar. And that'll end my first round. Then it becomes the enemy phase. There are no enemies in play. So we move on to the mythos phase. We move on to the upkeep phase. The upkeep phase, I will draw 1 card to my hand, and I will earn 1 resource from my supply, giving me a total of 4 resources. Anytime I have more than 8 cards in my hand, I have to discard down. But I only have 5. Now it's the mythos phase. Place 1 doom token on the agenda. When the agenda gets to 3, it will come into play. Or it will advance. The monsters and the enemies want the agenda to advance. The investigators want the axe to advance. Once that's done, we now draw 1 top card from the encounter deck. And it's Grasping Hands. Test agility, 3. For each point I fail, I take 1 damage. So Grasping Hands looks like this. I have to test my agility. Now my agility is a 4. So I have to reach into the bag and see if I'm agile enough to escape these Grasping Hands. 4 plus 0 minus 0 is 4. I succeed. The Grasping Hands don't grasp me this day. And that's the mythos phase. We go back to the investigator phase, where I once again get 3 actions. Well, I know I need to investigate the cellar. Now, the cellar has a shroud value of 4. It sure is dark down here. I better use my flashlight. Spending the last resource on my flashlight, the battery goes out, and I try to find a clue. It takes the shroud value down to 2. My investigation is a 3. I draw a -2 and fail my investigation. Not good. Can spend an action to draw a new card, which I think I will do that. It's my second action. As my third and final action, I think I will draw another card. Cards are really hard to come by. And that'll end my turn. Now the upkeep phase is I will draw a card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That takes my hand to full. Kind of where I wanted to be. Gain 1 resource for the turn. Then I move on to the mythos phase. Placing another doom counter. 1 more and the agenda advances. And I have to draw an encounter. Obscuring fog. Attached to my location. The attached location gets +2 shroud. So now, the cellar is even darker. Last! What's happening in the cellar? I've got to find these clues. I know I need 3 clues total to be able to break into my parlor. How am I going to do this? I suppose I have to get rid of my flashlight as it has no more battery. My first action, I'm going to pay 2 resources. Found another flashlight. Uses 3 supplies. Okay, I really need to succeed at this. Spend 1 battery. And as a fast play, I can spend 1 resource and add these 2 icons to my investigation. So my investigation now is 3, 4, 5. This location has a 6 shroud, but I lowered it by 2, so it has a 4 shroud. 4 shroud to my 5 investigation. -1. That works. It gives me a 4. I find a clue. The obscuring fog says, After attached location is successfully investigated, discard it. Oh, seems the fog is clearing. For my third action, I think I'd better get out of here and head up towards the attic. To move back to the hallway for my third action, leaving a clue in the cellar. Maybe I'll need it later. Upkeep phase. Draw a card, taking me to 7. I get a resource, bringing me to 3. Mythos phase. Third Doom counter. If the total number of Doom tokens is in play, is equal to or greater than the threshold, the current agenda advances. My house continues to change before my very eyes. The walls have decayed, the ground in many rooms has turned to dirt. It's almost as if I've been transported somewhere else entirely, although every now and again I recognize elements from my former home. The lead investigator must decide, either discard 1 card at random from my hand, or take 2 horror damage. Cards are too hard to come by. I think I will suffer a little bit of mental damage. I lose 2, taking me down to 4 sanity. The new agenda is this one. Rise of the ghouls. The floor beneath me is giving way. I see a vast network of tunnels twisting in the darkness below. Shapes and silhouettes of strange creatures move swiftly through the tunnels, trying to find a way up. I probably don't want to be here when they do. So now it requires 7 Doom counters before that agenda advances. And then we draw a card from the encounter deck. It's more grasping hands. I have to test my agility 3. My agility is a 4. I'm not going to spend any resources on upping my agility. Just going to believe in the bag of tokens. We did it. My 4 becomes a 3, thus barely dodging and escaping the grasping hands as they scratch at my collar. Okay, I'm given 3 actions, and the plan was to go seek out the attic. I move to the attic for 1 action. The smell of rotten meat assaults my nostrils as I approach the attic stairs. The bloody carcass of a malformed beast swings from a meat hook, chained to the ceiling. Blood drains slowly from the carcass, dripping into a small barrel. After I enter the attic, I take 1 horror. I'm losing sanity. I'm losing my mind. I've got but 3 left. 2 clue tokens are placed on the attic. At least it's brighter in here. I can see much better. I have 2 actions left, and I will use a flashlight just to better my chances. My investigation is 3. The attic is 0, as far as a shroud is concerned. +1. Success. I was able to find a clue. 1 more, and I'm able to get to the hallway and figure this out. I spend my 3rd and final action to investigate 1 more time without taking any chances. I'm going to use this last of this flashlight battery. Come on, flashlight. Don't fail me now. Got to find another clue. +1 again. Success. I've got what I need. Time to run to the hallway. But I'm out of actions. Now it's the upkeep phase. Draw a card. Thus bringing me back to 8. Getting a resource. Mythos phase. I place a Doom counter on the Rise of the Ghouls. I draw an encounter card. Dissonant voices. I'm hearing them in my head as my sanity wanes.
I put dissonant voices into my threat area. I cannot play assets or events. At the end of this round, I may discard dissonant voices. Whew.
I've got barely any wits about me. I've got to do it, all on my own.
I have 3 actions I can take.
First, make my way back to the hallway. 1 action. Second, gain a resource. I can't play any assets, and I can't play any events. But I can play a skill. But it's not a playable card. It's only discarded during a skill test. So I'm out of luck. May as well gain another resource. Giving me 6.
It's the end of my turn. Upkeep phase, I draw a card, and I'll have to discard down. I will discard 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mythos phase. Placing a Doom token on Rise of the Ghouls. Drawing an encounter card. Frozen in Fear. Put Frozen in Fear in my threat area. The first time I perform one of the following actions, each round it costs an additional action. The end of this phase, however, I spend the clue tokens to break the barrier. Barrier's broken.
Using the barrel from the attic, I carry ice and snow from the cellar, hurl it at the barrier. The barrier sparks and shudders as it consumes the ice, then hisses and fades out of existence.
The barrier blocking the passage to the parlor has vanished. Reveal the parlor. Put Lisa Chandler into play in the parlor. Spawn the ghoul priest in the hallway. Lisa Chandler. Ghoul priest spawns in the hallway. Since he spawns where I am, he automatically becomes engaged with me. Lita Chandler allows me to parlay with her, and then I'll be able to have her on my side as an ally. Now I have 3 actions I can take. And this says the first time I perform an action, each round it costs an additional action. So I think move, fight, or evade costs an additional action, I should say. So the first thing I'm going to do that doesn't cost an additional action is play my trusty 45 automatic. Costs 4 resources. Comes into play with 4 ammo. And then I'm going to use 2 actions to move into the parlor. The Ghoul Priest, of course, comes with me, thus ending my turn. Now, during the enemy phase, the Ghoul Priest, who's with me, will attack me. But instead, I dodge 1 resource. Play when an enemy attacks an investigator at my location. I may cancel that attack. So at least live another day. Forced at the end of my turn. Test mental 3. If I succeed, I am no longer frozen in fear. Well, my mental ability is only a 2. That's a tall order. I will go ahead and discard this. It has the mental trait, giving my mental ability a 3. And try. -4. I'm still frozen in fear. Another round goes by. I draw a card, gain a resource, and a doom token. Rise of the ghouls. Okay. 3 actions. While Leader Chandler is not controlled by a player, gains Parlay, test my lore 4. If I succeed, I take control of her. Parlay test is not a action that costs 2 actions, so I'll go ahead and try, well... I'll go ahead and... 4, huh? I don't want to fail this, so I will do it. I'll parlay with Lita to try to get her on my side. I'm going to use this card here. It has 1 lore icon plus 2 wild, so I'll have plus 3 lore, giving me a total of 6 lore. I really need Lita on my side to help defeat this ghoul priest. -1 is a 5. I get Lita Chandler on my side. While I control her, I get +1 to my fight ability, my strength. And when I successfully attack a monster, I deal 1 extra damage. So I'm going to use my last 2 actions to fight the ghoul priest. See what I can do. I'm going to spend an ammo to fight him with my gun. I get +1 strength for this attack. +1 more for Lita Chandler, which gives me a total of 5 strength. Now, the ghoul priest has a 5 strength to beat, so I need to get that or better. So I'm going to discard Machete, giving me +1 more strength. And the knife, give me plus another strength. So I'm 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 strength to the ghoul's 5. Ghoul priest, be gone! Get out of my house! +1 will do it, dealing him an extra 2 damage, so a total of 3. The ghoul priest takes 3 damage. 1, 2. Thought I had a 3rd damage counter. Don't see one. Oops, that's my gun. 1, 2. Now retaliate. Retaliate says, make sure I get it right. If I fail while attacking, I did not fail. Okay, that's 3 actions. Moving on to the enemy phase. He's going to attack me. And it's going to deal 2 wounds and 2 sanity. I'm going insane. Losing my mind. I need your help, Lita Chandler. I draw a card. Oh, yeah, I draw a card. Get a resource. At the end of the turn, test my mind. See if I discard Frozen in Fear. I'm going to use Guts +2 to my mind skill, giving me a total of 4. This scenario says it's -1, so I've got 3. I'm no longer frozen in fear. Ooh,
Mythos phase. Another doom token on the rise of the ghouls. I can hear them climbing up through the floorboards. I've got to put a stop to this immediately. Ghoul minion. He spawns in the parlour, which means he automatically engages with me. This is not a good sight. I have 3 actions I can take. First, I'll be drawing a card. Second, I'll be using the automatic pistol to shoot the ghoul priest. +1. +1 gives me a 5 strength. Discarding vicious blow. +1 more strength and it'll deal additional damage. 3, 4, 5, 6. Discard the Derringer for 7. Has to go all out. Discard the guard dog for 8. Welcome, Waterfly, and all your butterflies, to Arkham Horror. As we defeat the ghoul priest once and for all. Strength 8. 4 damage. 8 minus 1 is 7. Dealing the rat bastard 4 damage. Killing the ghoul priest. Figure in red robes wearing a bone mask, gibbers and snarls before dying. What have you done? A woman with a torch stands in my parlour, a glimmer of hatred in her eyes. What have you done to my barrier? She screams furious. Before I can answer, a ghastly wail sounds behind me, and a creature wearing robes and a deerskull mask falls dead, advancing toward me. When the robed creature falls, the fiendish swarm burrows back into the ground, and the chaos of the house quiets. But the stranger in my parlour doesn't seem relieved. You broke my seal. That was to set the trap that ghouls within. She raises her torch. Now we must take more direct measures and burn this hell pit to the ground. I have a choice to make. Do I burn this house down? Or do I claim it as my home? In no way we're burning it. To hell with it. Burn it down. Defeated the horrors. Overcome. Let's see here. Victory points 1, 2. These are to mark in the campaign log. 3, 4. So let's see. Let me put the victory points up on the screen. 2. This 1. This 1. I'll double check on the attic. It still had a clue on there, so I don't know if I get the victory points if I don't clear all of the clues. I'll double check that. If you happen to know that, please let me know in the chat. But I did indeed slay the ghoul priest. For the campaign log, one of the things I'm really excited about. We've finished the gathering. I'm going to mark down my earned story assets, and any weaknesses, any trauma, physical or mental, any unspent experience, and so on. I'll mark it down. I either got 3 or 4 experience. So I'll look into the campaign log and read the entry. This was Resolution 1. Decided to burn the house down. I nod and allow the red-haired woman to set the walls and floors of my house ablaze. The fire spreads quickly and I run out the front door to avoid being caught in the inferno. From the sidewalk, I watch as everything I own is consumed by flame. Come with me, the woman says. You must be told of the threat that lurks below. Alone we're surely doomed, but together we can stop it. In the campaign log, I'm to record that my house is burned to the ground. I earn the Lead a Chandler card and may add it to my deck. It does not count towards my deck size. I suffer 1 mental trauma from watching my house become a smoldering ruin. I earn experience equal to the victory value of each card in the victory display. Each investigator earns 2 bonus experience as he or she gains insight into the hidden world of Mythos. And thus ends The Gathering, Episode 1. Wouldn't be any clues on location to count. Okay. So it will be a total of 3 victory points, plus the 2 extra the book gave me, for a total of 5 victory points to end the scenario, The Gathering. Thank you all so much for joining me in this adventure. Next week we move on to the Midnight Masks and see where the adventure takes us. That'll be all. Have a great evening, and we'll see you at the next Bard Room meeting.